Well, a new venue and a new tournament for the PDC European Tour this weekend. We're in Antwerp for the Flanders Darts Trophy, the first of 4 remaining European events this season, and we'll be in a different country for each and every one of them. Hungary, Switzerland and the Czech Republic all still to come as we count down to the European Championship in October. But first of all, we have this one, the PDC's second visit to Belgium this year. The first, you may recall, witnessed a very special moment, a first European title for Luke Littler on his Euro Tour debut. Littler, one of 16 seeded players in the field this weekend. And as always, we begin with a set of first-round fixtures on what should be and could be a fabulous Friday. Some big names involved over the course of the next 10 hours or so today. And one of them on stage tonight will be Antwerp's favourite son, Dimitri van den Berg, as well. He takes on another UK Open champion, Andrew Gilding, in tonight's second session.
81.
First up, these two. Poland's rising star, Sebastian Bialecki, 20 years old, against the Frisian Viking, Jitse van der Wal. Rob Malarkey in the chair for this one. And once again alongside me, great to have you back, Paul Nicholson.
Great to be back in Belgium as well, Rob. And seeing as it is the Flanders Darts Trophy, I'm just going to get this out the way. Hi diddly ho, name Marino.
Now, normally, I'm on top of these things, but
it's a Ned Flanders reference.
Me there.
Well, I was inspired by our MC, Philip Brzezinski, who has a wonderful moustache at the minute, and it makes him look like Ned Flanders. So, based on what you've said already about what happened earlier in the year in Belgium, 55. And considering when you attend a European Tour event, what we can expect here this weekend is a 9-darter.
55.
Because you had one in Kiel, you had one in Visa, and here in Flanders, the first one here, the Flanders Darts Trophy, I expect something to happen.
Yeah, there is a slight caveat to that, everybody. However, the player on the receiving end of those 9-darters on both occasions was Rob Cross, but unfortunately, the former world champion is not with us here this weekend in Antwerp. Bialecki in control of this opening leg on throw. He's 90 points away from the first on the scoreboard. Nicely done with the first dart as well. So 2 more. And a lovely 2-dart combination for a 14-darter. Wouldn't go so far as to say a statement of intent, but I think he'll be delighted with the way that he's kicked things off, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely right. To be first in the tournament, a new tournament as well, you want to go up there and you want to make an impression. But the thing about Sebastian is he plays the game in a very poker-faced way. Doesn't give a great deal away. But when playing Jitse van der Wal, he does have a story. Because they have met a few times. However, if we turn the clocks back to 2021, when they played at the UK Open, which was their only big stage meeting, it was a game that Sebastian won by 6 legs to 3. But it was a game where Jitse actually hit a 9-dart leg against Sebastian after he'd hit one in the previous round.
Yeah, things tend to happen. Bialecki's had plenty of time to get himself ready for this one. He qualified for this tournament way back on the 1st of June. That was one of the Euro Tour qualifiers that took place in Budapest over a particular weekend in the Eastern European qualifiers. 44 players entered that one, but it was Bialecki who came out on top. He had to come through 5 matches to take his place here as well. Didn't really have too many problems, in all honesty. Won his first 2 matches by 6 legs to 0. Dropped 8 legs in total over the next 3 rounds, but fairly smooth ride, in all honesty. As van der Wal takes out the 82 for a leveller to get back on terms at 1 apiece.
And we don't mind a Viking in darts. The late great Andy Fordham and Boris Koltsov are both darting Vikings. But this one is a Frisian Viking. And he had the biggest horns on his helmet, didn't he?
Massive.
And he gave it away, which is a nice thing to do to one of the fans. But the supporters, they had the mini horns, didn't they? Interesting route for Jitse to get into this tournament, his second European Tour event of the year. He beat Tim Walters of Germany, Willy Borland, and didn't just beat them, he demolished them. But then he beat Scott Williams in the final game to qualify. And interestingly, Scott Williams plays in the next match. He's up against Marko Kantala of Finland. Williams is one of the reserves, because a couple of people have dropped out. So the person that he's beaten to get here is actually playing in the game after him.
Yeah, Mike De Decker is the other one who was elevated into the main draw as well. He too didn't qualify by right, but he was given a reprieve just before the tournament started. Could have this bizarre situation where you could lose to a player in qualifying and then go on and beat them in the actual tournament itself. It could happen.
It could happen, and it almost did happen in Sindelfingen earlier this year with Christian Perez. Beat the person in qualifying and then drew them in the first round, but he beat them again.
It's been a tough season, though, for Van der Waal, hasn't it, though, Paul? I mean, he's only just come onto the scene, really, in terms of winning his tour card earlier this year, but we looked at his numbers in terms of what he's been doing on the floor, and it doesn't really make pretty reading for him. He's going to have to go some next year to claw his way up to the top 64. I think it will take something pretty special, in all honesty. We'll talk about that in a moment. Let's just see if he can take out this 1-2-4.
99.
He wasn't a million miles away.
Let's see if Sebastian can get a shot at the ball as well. 419s will get him there. Can't get those, so Jitse does come back. Many routes for 25.
76.
There's that helmet that he threw into the crowd. One happy customer.
Two lots of headdress for that spectator. Anyway, here we go. Van der Waal now looking at 8-8 here for 2-1 and a break of throw as well. And the Viking gets his horns in front.
Yeah, numbers for the season for Jitse: 88.06 and 48% as a win percentage. That's not his doubles percentage, that's his win percentage. So he's not actually winning more than 50%, which is the benchmark of playing decent stuff. People are playing up towards 65, 66% based on tour card holders. But we can look at someone like Sebastian, for example. His win percentage for the year is 74%. However, he's playing Development Tour, he's playing Challenge Tour, and in other places, not on the Pro Tour.
Yeah, he's putting in a real shift this year as well, is Bialecki. Just looking at those numbers makes me feel tired, let alone playing in that number of matches as well.
Yeah, Jitse's played 75 games this season. Bialecki's played 192.
91.
That's not 92, by the way. It's 192. By the end of this year, he'll have played well over 250 matches of darts. He's always been a bit of a workhorse. He's never shied away from the practice board. He doesn't shy away from tournaments either.
Yeah, only 20 years old as well. 21 in December.
161.
He's one of those, whenever I've seen him, let's just see if this 161 can go as well. That would have been a statement, as we alluded to earlier. Yeah, whenever I've seen Bialecki, he always looks a very solid player, but you just wonder whether he's got the credentials to really establish himself over the next 5-6 years or so.
95.
Still only young, but hasn't had a tour card yet, and maybe that's a good thing for him at this point. But what isn't a good thing for him is that Jitse is 3-1 up, and you know who that is if you're a darts fan. That is the great Eric Claris.
Nice ovation for Claris as well when the image was shown on the big screen in the arena. We're in the Expo Arena in Antwerp. Beautiful city, by the way. First time here for me. Arrived last night, had a quick look round. Absolutely gorgeous. It's the city that brought us, I mentioned Dimitri van den Berg, it's his hometown, but Rubens, the famous Baroque painter, and of course, the great, legendary Romelu Lukaku.
I was wondering where you were going to go with that. When he said Ruben, I was starting to think sandwiches.
6.
Jitse wants to make it to round number 2 to play against Josh Rock. This is what you're seeing so far, and considering first leg, this is a really good recovery from Van der Waal. Legs of 15, 17 and 13. And for a 3-leg blitz, that's an average of 100.
37.
Yeah, I mean, we touched upon his overall form this year. You can break it down a little bit and look at some of the individual results that he's had. I highlighted a win over Gerwin Price that he had earlier this year. Price admittedly not having the best season that he's had in terms of his overall illustrious career, but he beat Gerwin Price 6-1. And it's not, or shouldn't be overlooked as well, that he actually beat Luke Littler in qualifying for Risa as well by 6 legs to 3 on that occasion. Lost to Richie Edhouse in what was his only other European Tour appearance this year.
94.
We'll see him again in Budapest as well.
Yeah, so far so good in this game. Still looking for his first win on a European Tour stage after losing to Madhouse Richie Edhouse earlier in the year at that International Darts Open that you mentioned, where he beat Littler on qualifying. This is really starting to go well.
Brilliant.
Better than well. 4-1 up and definitely got the bit between his teeth. Team Frisian Viking, never thought I'd say that in my life, are very, very happy right now.
Yeah, 4 legs on the spin. We've had the break of throw, and since then, back-to-back, well, 13 darter and a 14 darter. So very good economy from Jitse van der Waal. And Bialecki really up against it now. And van der Waal is just looks very confident. There's a little bit of aggression in there as well, which I always like to see.
What we saw from Jitse going onto the stage, he was clutching a flag just before he walked on. It is the same flag that adorns his laces, which is the area of the Netherlands he's from, and I believe that's the same area as Danny Noppert.
Yes, it is.
Better from Bolt. He's going to need plenty of that, as you see the laces.
As if by magic. Yeah, that is very... well, it's the similar pattern to the shirt sleeve, isn't it, for Danny Noppert? I might have got this completely wrong, but I think, is that Helen Vane's football kit looks a little bit like that as well? Maybe I'll get some word in my ear in a moment or two.
95.
You have the right people in your ear for things like that.
Dutch team once again providing all the pictures and the graphics and all the magic that goes on behind the scenes this weekend. Once again on the European Tour. Van der Waal in position once again. Although a little bit of pressure there applied by Bialecki. Gets down to a potential 2-dart combination if he gets the chance. And he will get the chance because he can't find the treble 20 with that first dart, nor with the second either.
However, you fancy now that if he doesn't hit this 89, Jitse is looking straight down the barrel of 5-1 up. Big, big dart at the bull for Bolt.
64.
Van der Waal has been really good in the bottom left corner of the board. I'll be surprised if he doesn't go there again. But he does. Now, can he get past this flight? This is slightly awkward.
Of course he can. Absolutely ruthless from Van der Waal. That was a really tricky dart to throw. That's a really good angle. That illustrates exactly what a narrow corridor he was trying to fly down there. And my goodness me, everything is just really coming together now. 5 legs on the spin for Van der Waal. This is really impressive. The average is not spectacular, but I think overall it's been a really measured, controlled performance by Van der Waal. And this will set himself up very nicely indeed if he does indeed go on to finish the job and set up that meeting with Josh Rock tomorrow in the second round.
We don't have a great sample size of seeing Van der Waal on the stage, but this has got to be the best he's played in front of an audience like this, elevated from the floor. Extremely, and I mean extremely coordinated to the stage set. Black, white and yellow. It's almost as if it was on purpose. You never want to be the first person out with a tournament, especially when your opponent is dominating you. It's a long way back to Poland. There'll be a lot of people in this tournament who are going to be very close to home.
Yeah, Van der Waal, one of them certainly. He's not had far to travel, almost like a home tournament for him, really. But yeah, Bialecki, I mean, I was just looking at his numbers earlier this year, or over the course of his European Tour career. recently he's had a really good track record in terms of winning his opening match in these European Tour events. He's won his first match in his last 3, including in Kiel earlier this year. But doesn't look as though he's going to maintain that sequence or extend that sequence this weekend. Because Van der Waal, once again on the Bialecki throw, is down to a finish first. And he may well finish it here and now as well.
Well, one of the reasons why Sebastian is in this position is because he's playing to his type of the season. Jitse has raised his level by about 5 points. You've got to give Bialecki credit. He's kept himself in it with that 174 pressure.
Sebastian, you require 24.
Yeah, well, he needed something, needed a spark from somewhere. Might just have left himself with too much to do anyway, but let's just see where this can take him. 6-6 now for Bialecki. Getting nervy, getting anxious, isn't it, all of a sudden? 3-3. Yeah, and that could well be the last dart that he throws this weekend, Paul, as well, because Van der Waal,
72.
just the way he's been playing, you do not suspect that he's going to fluff his lines with this 72.
Not the way he's been finishing. Visit perfect in this game. So if he gets a dart at a double, history tells us he hits it. But the match dart is slightly harder to hit.
52. Sebastian, you require 6.
Well, a match start comes and goes for Van der Waal. How long will he have to wait for another? Well, he will return straight away because Bialecki has just flirted there. That's always the danger when you go to 12, 6. You end up in that tricky 3 position, and so it proved to be. And Van der Waal, having missed 1 match start already, has 3 clear opportunities at 10. That was loose. That was closer, but that is 4 match starts.
You require 2.
Just see how much time was spent trying to keep himself calm going for those match darts. That's the difference. And now he's got to do it all again to get to that point. There is now an opportunity for Sebastian to get himself back into this match, because the way that those match darts can work is, I was so close, but now I'm so far away.
It's fascinating, isn't it? I mean, had the scoreline been 3-1, I think Van der Waal would have taken that out, no problem. But all of a sudden, when the pressure's on, when it gets to just dragging yourself over that line, when it comes to the crunch, it can just be the most difficult thing to do.
Especially when you've never won on a European Tour stage before. It's only his 2nd time on a European Tour stage after Riesa this year. But this might mean just a little bit more to him because it's closer to home. And let's not forget, to be as pure as possible, he just wants to get up there and win. And doing things like that will definitely help. That's the first 180 of the tournament.
Well, perhaps he feels that, you know, he needs to give himself as many opportunities as he can get, really, and that will certainly do in the world of good, especially if Bialecki is a sub-ton here. But he's recovered well there, actually, has Bialecki. That's a very manageable 107.
Don't be surprised if he hits it. If he does, Jitse's going to know about it. He's not going to hit it. He's actually not close on either treble shot. So does Van der Waal get to the double for the match once again?
Gets the treble 19. Can he find double 12? Match start number 5 comes and goes for Jitse Van der Waal. And Bialecki now looking at 48 to reduce the arrears once more, getting a little bit closer. Double 16. Big moment this. And it was a little bit congested, but I thought there was plenty of room there, but he can't find a way through. And Van der Waal returns once again, and with his 6th match dart, Jitse Van der Waal can finally celebrate a first ever win on the European Tour. Only secured his tour card earlier this year, made his debut in Riesa, battered by Richie Edhouse on that occasion, but very impressive today, you have to say, despite that wobble at the end. That's a big moment, and certainly a big moment for his connections as well. Van der Waal through to face Josh Rock, the number 6 seed, tomorrow in the 2nd round. He beats Bialecki by 6 legs to 2.